These days, you have been hearing that the Indian economy is facing a drastic downturn. Most of them are actually wrongly interpreted. But then the major cause of this talk has been the Prime Minister of India, PM Modi, coming and talking about 7 suggestions or requests to the residents of India.
लेकिन देश हित में हमको ये तय करना पड़ेगा कि साल भर तक घर में कोई भी फंक्शन हो, कोई भी कार्यक्रम हो, हम सोने के गहने नहीं खरीदेंगे, सोना नहीं खरीदेंगे। विदेशी मुद्रा बचाने के लिए हमारी देशभक्ति हमें चुनौती दे रही है और हमें इस चुनौती को स्वीकार करते हुए विदेशी मुद्रा को बचाना होगा।
Which includes cutting down buying of gold, cutting down foreign trips, cutting down usage of crude oil, that is petrol, by working from home, cutting down the use of cooking oil, use of public transport, promoting natural farming, avoiding usage of fertilizers, also adopting Swadeshi products, like don't use foreign products, try to use make in India products. Why he has come and told this in the common forum? The unfortunate thing here is that he didn't give the context of why this is to be done. But then let me decode it. The forex reserve of India has been dropping. Now it is something around $690 billion. And we are still having a forex reserve for another 11 months dollar requirement. But then why this immediate announcement by Mr. Modi? Because of this war, the crude oil rates has been increasing, and India being a net importer of crude oil, we are buying crude oil in US dollar. So a large US dollar flow from India to outside nations is happening because we buy from various countries including Iran, Russia, US, etc. So we buy that in dollar denomination. So obviously we are creating demand for dollar, and also we are exchanging that for Indian rupee. So the Indian rupee demand is falling, and as the dollar increases in demand, the INR keeps falling, and Indian rupee has depreciated so low and it is about to touch 100 rupee per dollar. So the buying power of Indians reduces. Now if you do this, yes, obviously the crude oil imports will reduce if you work from home, if you do carpooling, if you reduce the diesel usage, the cooking oil usage, because cooking oil also is imported and you are spending US dollar to buy that commodity from foreign countries. And also if you are spending INR and you are buying USD for various foreign trips. And all these are temporary measures, like Modi explained that for next 1 year you have to do this. And also they have been bringing regulatory frameworks like increasing the import duty of gold and silver to 15%, then increasing the fuel rate, petrol rate almost 4 rupees up. And also if you see, this came in 2 months after the financial year start, it is in May. Because it is not just because of the Iran war this has happened. Already we are seeing a falling trend in FII, FPI, FDI investments in India. So this was an earlier concern, but then this announcement came now only because obviously there was elections and the government didn't want the elections to be impacted by this negative announcement. Also, another genuine question which you would be thinking in your mind is that why this forex reserve is so important? Forex reserve is so important because you have to buy goods from outside, because unfortunately India is one of a net importer. Our current account deficit is always negative, in the sense we import more than what we export. We are a net consumer. We import much more, and our GDP is very low. Even though we are now at 6th position, our GDP of $4.2 trillion is much lower to US, which are at $30 trillion, or even China, which is at $20 trillion, which is multiple times away. If you want to do trade, especially in US dollar, the reserves has to be there, or even in other currencies also. So those currencies have to be there in our RBI's account in the form of reserves. So that's the importance of forex reserves. But now my suggestion as an investor would be, this is not the correct way of improvising our forex reserves. One way of doing it is that FII, the foreign institutional investors, has been continuously selling in stock market, and the FII keeps buying stocks in India. They are doing it in US dollar denomination, and the US dollar reserve increases because of this. And how this happens? The government can reduce taxes on the various trades. They can bring in foreign inflow, capital inflow, better policies, so that the foreign institutional investors have confidence in India. To have a positive outlook on India, they can do n number of positive formations in the regulatory framework. Working from home, what it means, the local chai wala loses his job, the jadu pocha karne wala also loses his job, because people won't use the common amenity. So if the common amenity is not used, the maintaining of that and the people who are related to that also loses their job and loses their importance. Then if the public transport or the work from home happens, then there is no public transportation, so people lose their job as well, or they lose their value. And gold also, if you reduce the imports, the people or the businesses who are related to that gold businesses also loses their job or loses their business profitability. So this is going to have a negative impact on the GDP of India, and this will eventually not only reduce the GDP, the positioning of India, and also the forex reserve as well. So the right way of improvising our forex reserve is only by bringing in foreign institutional investors into India. For that, government has to bring in positive regulatory frameworks. See you next video. Till then, happy investing.